Hi, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Enlightened Entrepreneur. Today's interview is entitled Online Retailer: Critical Skills Every Business Owner Needs to Know or Develop if you're to succeed with your online business. I'm joined here on this podcast with a lady that I respect and that has been in the business for a while, over 10 years, and has been doing extraordinary things online and in business in general, with over 50 employees working with her. So I'm very delighted to have Angie Stocklin on the podcast today. Angie, welcome to the podcast.
Oh, thank you so much for having me.
And really appreciate you out of your busy schedule to spend time with the business owners in our community here today, sharing your experience. I know how important your time is. So thanks again for being here with us. Now, to get us started, Angie, we always want to get to know you. And would you mind sharing with us about your background, how you got to where you are, and your aspirations, so to speak?
Yeah, absolutely. So by training, I'm a school psychologist, which has nothing to do with business on the surface, but I call it kind of my happy accident that I fell into entrepreneurship. When I married my husband, he had really big entrepreneurial dreams, and I didn't realize at the time that we would be doing this journey together. But it's been really exciting and fulfilling, and a happy surprise for my life. So we started One Click about 10 years ago out of our home office. We didn't know anything really about online marketing or e-commerce or B2C sales. We had to learn everything from the ground up and teach ourselves each step of the process.
Yes. Sorry to interrupt you there. One of the things I liked about you, Manny, is you started in your house and then you moved it was your home office really, and then you moved to a 4,000 square foot facility. Running a big company. How was that experience running a business at your home?
So when we were still in our home, we stayed in our home for about a year and a half, and we kept our full-time jobs at the same time. So it was really challenging to find the time to work on the business and keep our full-time jobs afloat. We kind of put our family and friends and our hobbies and our travel on the back burner for a couple of years while we built our business and made sure that we were cash flow positive before we stepped out and started hiring people. So I think the biggest challenge for us in the very beginning was prioritizing what to work on and when to work on it and finding the time to get everything accomplished.
Incredible. And after, during those few years, what were the main, sort of like hardship that you experienced during those years, other than, putting other things on hold?
Can you say that again? I'm sorry.
During the early years of your operations, what were the hardships that you experienced?
Oh, well, absolutely. We also had to learn when you're working a job and you're just a team member on someone else's team, you don't have to understand the ins and outs of how money comes into the business, how money goes out of the business. And we were determined to create a cash flow positive business and be able to bootstrap our business from the start. So learning at QuickBooks, learning accounting, learning how to use your money wisely, like who you have to pay, and a P&L and the accounting process was definitely something that was important for us to figure out, but it was a challenge at first because that wasn't something that we'd had experience in the past.
Incredible. And how did you get your first client during those early years?
So we purchased sunglasswarehouse.com in February of 2006. So we just had our 10-year anniversary. And lucky for us, that business was an existing business. So it already had a few customers, an email list, and we quickly learned paid search and organic search so we could grow our customer base pretty fast.
Incredible. And now that you've been in business for a long time, how do you market your business?
So we mainly market online. Our digital channels are our main source of income, but we also have a really nice word of mouth and repeat business customer base as well. But for the customer acquisition side of things, we focus a lot on paid search and organic search. And paid search includes everything from display to Google Shopping. Anything that we're going to pay for is included in paid search. We have a nice affiliate marketing program. We do media. Pretty much anything that you would do online, YouTube ads, we're doing today.
And if I remember correctly, you had to learn all these, as a startup.
We did. We didn't know anything. My husband has a software engineering background, so he knew how to code a website, and I knew how to be a school psychologist, and everything else we learned from scratch.
Oh, beautiful. Angie, would you consider yourself to have been privileged to have had an overnight success, or you had to work extremely hard to get to where you are today?
Oh, it was definitely not an overnight success, and that's okay with me.
Right.
I like the fact that we're self-funded and we bootstrapped this whole operation, and we took our time to learn things. And because we had so much to learn,
Yes.
I'm actually glad that we didn't have overnight success, because that gave us an opportunity to make mistakes when we were a little bit smaller.
Beautiful. Beautiful. And suppose you're talking to, you're talking to an audience now that think, things are going slower than they planned. What would you say to an individual like that?
I would just suggest that short-term goals really help, because if you think about your business now and maybe you've got 5 clients or 10 clients, and you think about getting to 100 or 200 clients, it seems like an uphill battle that can't be won.
Right.
But if you set short-term goals and think, okay, well, I'm just going to get 2 clients over the next 2 weeks, and you meet that goal, then you're 2 clients closer to that 100, and you've given yourself a realistic path to get there. So I think just thinking it through and not trying to jump from A to Z is the best advice that I could give somebody.
Oh, wonderful. Wonderful. One of the things I hear from, startups, they talk about, is so much harder than I thought it will be. What was your experience in running business?
Well, we definitely had the idea that like if you build it, they will come. And so it was a little bit of a different environment in 2005 and 6, but even then that wasn't true. We had to build the website, stock it with really great products, and then figure out how to market it and get it in front of customers, because you could have the best idea in the whole wide world, but if nobody sees it, then nobody's going to buy your product or sign up for your service. And so yeah, we were surprised, I think, at how hard it actually was to get customers to our site. And then when you get them there and you look at your conversion rate, I mean, you can get all wrapped up in the fact that only 2% or 5% of the people that are hitting your website are actually making a purchase. So that was a little bit of a surprise for us at the first as well.
Awesome. And how did you deal with that initial, so to speak, disappointment that it had to be more work than than you anticipate? How did you deal with that?
I think it's just about resetting your expectations.
Okay.
And so once you learn that the reality isn't what you thought it was, you have to reset your expectations and figure out what's the new reality, or how do I make it the reality that I thought it was, and just figure out if it's really for you, because we've had colleagues in the industry or friends and family members that have thought about running their own business and maybe even tried it for a while and realized that it's not for them. And I think for people to understand that that's okay if you try it and it's not for you, because it's more work than you thought it was going to be, or you're prioritizing your life in a different way. I think it's okay to say, "Ooh, that was a great experience, and let's move on from that."
Awesome. Really love to hear how you manage to navigate that. Angie, what sort of mind do business owner needs to have to stay on course should they decide that this is for them?
In terms of cost?
to stay on, on the path? What sort of mindset do they need to have for them to succeed, basically?
That's a great question. So I think that to understand that you're in competition with your competition, if you don't have like a competition type of mindset, I'm not sure how far that would get you. And my husband and I have a kind of a unique relationship where he's really motivated by external competition, but I'm like internally competitive with myself, and so together we make a really competitive team. But if you're not really into competition or goal setting, I think that you would struggle with owning your own business or starting something from scratch.
Incredible. Let's look back again. If you were to start all over again, Angie, running your business, knowing what you know now, what would you do differently?
What would we do differently? I think if we were going to start over again,
Yes.
I would take a hard look at what we were doing. So I love the fact that we taught ourselves every single thing from scratch. And there were a couple of things that we outsourced along the way. But I would take a hard look at what we were learning and what we were taking on ourselves and figuring out if there were experts that could do those things better than us. So was it integral that we did our own online marketing, or was there a firm that could have done that a little bit better for us? We still need to know the basics. We still need to understand how it works. But was it really important that we do it ourselves, or is that something that we could have outsourced and still come out in the positive? That's definitely one thing that I would maybe do differently the next time.
Incredible. And what sort of thing that you would definitely do more of that you've seen paid a lot of dividend, over the years?
Research.
Right.
We did a really nice job at the very beginning of researching everything on the internet. And so if we were going to go back and do this all over again, I would expand that to our natural business network here in Indianapolis. We have a great business network, people that are really friendly and really willing to help. And so I would take what we did, the research that we did on our own, and kind of expand that into a networking kind of play where we went out and talked to people and tried to learn from them as well. We do a lot of that now, but we didn't do a lot of that at the beginning. So I would do more of the research aspect because you can never learn too much when you're starting out.
That's right. That's awesome. Thank you for that. Now let's jump onto the three critical skills that business owner needs to develop if they are to succeed. In your opinion of running a business over these last 10 years, what are the main skills that you feel strongly that if you are to succeed, do these well? What are those?
Well, I kind of looked at this from the aspect of if you're running an online e-commerce business, these are the skills that you need to learn. Is that okay if we take that angle?
Absolutely.
Okay. Well, the first skill that is ultra important is understanding online marketing and how that works.
Right.
And if you're online, and really, honestly, no matter what business you're running at this point in time, I think it's really important to understand the ins and outs of online marketing, digital marketing.
All right. Okay. What do you mean by online marketing?
So we look at marketing or advertising into two buckets. One would be traditional, which would be newspaper, magazine, radio, TV. And then anything that's done online or on the internet would be digital marketing or online marketing.
Right.
And so when we're out networking in the community, we find a lot of more traditional business owners still don't understand how online marketing works and how they can grow their business and grow their customer or client base using digital channels.
Awesome. And why is this so important?
Well, I think it's the new atmosphere that we live in. It's the new reality. And it's also a really great way to grow your business. I think it's an integral way to grow your business and get more customers or clients. And there's also a lot. This is kind of a side note. It's not the most important reason why, but there are a lot of slightly dishonest people out there that present really great opportunities for you. I'm sure people get emails all the time with people offering their web services or their search services. And if you don't have a good understanding of how online marketing works, you might accidentally fall into a trap of someone who's leading you down a path that's not the right path.
Incredible. Suppose somebody is, getting started in online marketing. What are the areas that they look at, or how can they get started?
Yeah, so there are a lot of great resources online.
Right.
I think that search, either organic search and or paid search, is a really easy place for people to start their educational process. And there are sites like SEO Moz. I don't know if you have that in the UK, but that's a really popular site here in the US. Or even, oh my gosh, what is the name? There's a really popular shopping cart in the US that has great resources in terms of online marketing, but the name has escaped me. So I'm going to think about that and get back to it in a minute. But really
Okay.
diving in online and figuring things out with paid search or organic search, and then understanding the basics of email marketing and social media, I think would be the places I would start if I was starting from scratch.
Beautiful. Thank you. And imagine somebody has already started and they got stuck on, or, how can they sort of move on from there?
Well, I think that if you get too stuck, there's always the option of finding an agency or a service to that you can pay to kind of run those programs for you. And we found that when we're in the process of finding an agency to do something, once you do your due diligence and you talk to 5 or 6 different agencies, whether you like it or not, you've learned a lot in the process. And so even if you're not sure that you want to use an agency, just talking to them and asking them lots of great questions might get you unstuck along the way.
Absolutely, absolutely. By just them trying to help you and winning you over, they'll give you great information that you can help you make great decision of what you want to do.
Yeah.
What other critical skill do you feel business owner needs to develop if they're to succeed?
So if you're running an e-commerce or a B2C business, I think the next skill that you really have to understand is your product. And I guess that's probably
Right.
true with the SaaS company as well. But when you're selling a physical product, it's really important to understand like what to buy, when to buy it, how much to buy it for, how much to buy, how to price it, like what your competition is doing. There's so many steps in the process that you have to get right.
Right.
You can present the product to the customer and really understand what the customer wants. So really getting a feel for that product is really important.
Beautiful. Why is it important, to really know your products?
I think you can have a fantastic idea and you can be really great at digital marketing or online marketing, but if your product doesn't meet your customers' expectations, then you won't be able to succeed. And so understanding that product and making sure that the quality and price ratio match, making sure that you can get it stocked when the customer wants it. Those
Right.
are all really important things that if you don't get right, it's going to be really hard to be successful.
Absolutely. In our experience as well, we discovered that if I know what I have to offer, I know who to offer it to. Because in the beginning, for startup, I've noticed, in fact, I did, that is when you have a great service, you want to give it to everyone, but not everyone is suited for your service. So if you know your service or your product very well, you know who it is targeted to, and you can just go straight to the people that need that service.
Absolutely.
Yes. Is there any other skill which I haven't asked you about, but you strongly feel like, you know what, if I develop this skill, I would have achieved more, or I have achieved this because of this particular skill?
Well, I know that people talk a lot about service, like customer service or just really great service. And if you go online, there are a million companies that tout their service as the best. But really
Right.
understanding service from a broader perspective is important in any business. So we value service, and we look at service from a whole company's perspective. So it's not just our customer happiness team that is servicing the emails and calls with the clients or the customers. It's our technology team that keeps our website up and running quickly. It's our marketing team that is putting up ads that are easy to read and understand and coupon codes that work. It's my fulfillment team that is getting packages to customers quickly and correctly. So really diving in and understanding service from a broader perspective it's a really important skill to learn and pick up.
Incredible. Now let's talk about actually running your company. You've done well, now with 50 employees. If you were communicating with a business owner who has only one employee and is looking to expand their team, what would you say to them about how to identify people to work for them?
Yes, I think that you have to understand the value set of your company.
Right.
If it's just you and one team member, that should be pretty easy to kind of figure out, and figure out the type of culture that you want moving forward. And so if you're a hard-hitting, sales-driven organization that wants to win it at any cost, that's one path to take, and you need to be hiring people that fit that kind of value set. And you maybe have a business that's really service-oriented, and you need people that can show empathy or that understand and are really customer-oriented. So I think just understanding the business that you want to create, the culture that you want to have, and the value set that you have and that your company has is the number one thing you have to think about before you hire employee number 1 or 2.
Beautiful. And how did you go about setting, set particular values in your own organizations?
So we actually didn't start writing down our core values until about 3 years in.
Right.
And we did it because we realized that we weren't being intentional enough with our culture. Because Randy and I were under the impression at first that if we just led by example and we showed people how we wanted to treat our customers and we showed them the work ethic that we wanted to have, they would just follow along. And unfortunately, that just doesn't work that way. And so we had to be really deliberate about our core values and the culture that we wanted to create with our company. And so that's one of the reasons why I would suggest somebody do that sooner, just
Right.
so you kind of avoid some of the things that we did along the way.
Right. And I bet you had some difficulties trying to implement the values to those who had started 3 years prior with you, because they would say all of a sudden, why are we doing something differently?
Yeah. And so one of the ways we kind of went about that was to include the entire team. I think we had a team of, 15 or 20 at that point in time. And so we included the entire team in the process so that everybody felt involved and connected to the value set that we were going to publish and call our own.
Incredible. So how did you actually arrange that? Did you have people in and say, today we want to establish our values, or you had people suggest? How did you go about doing that?
We started with a little survey and just asked people, when you think of one click, what words come to mind? And so we had a word dump of everybody in the company, and we kind of took that word dump and tried to arrange them into buckets and narrow down the selections. And then we had I believe we had a consultant come in and kind of help us. She talked to the team. We met as a group. We divided into small groups and took those word groups and tried to condense them down even further. And we kept doing that until we got to 10. We thought 10 was the right number for us.
Beautiful. And by then, everyone had bought into it and believed in what you were doing. That's an excellent way of doing it. And how do you manage, 50 people now that that are already in your organization?
The most important thing to manage that many people is to have a really great leadership group. And so there are 3 of us on the senior team, and obviously we can't do it ourselves anymore with 50 people. So we have to have a really strong, I think what people used to call middle management group that really believes in our organization. They're brand champions. They lead like we like to lead. And they can really be good at communication. Communication is huge. So communication back up to us with what people are kind of feeling or saying, and then communication back to the team, so
Right.
that strong middle group is really important. And as we move forward, it will become even more important.
Incredible. Really appreciate you sharing that level of insight. Let's dive into what you do. I know our audience would love to connect with you at some level. Let's talk about the service you provide, and how you're different from other service providers in your line of industry.
So we own and operate 3 eyewear brands online. We sell sunglasses at sunglasswarehouse.com, reading glasses at readers.com, and then prescription eyewear at felixandiris.com. And so we're B2C, completely online. We have no brick and mortar presence at this point in time.
Right. Right. And how can people connect with you if they want to connect with you?
They're welcome to go to any of our URLs, but you can go to oneclickventures.com and see our story from start to finish. And that will also have links to all of our brands, our core values, our mission statement, and anything else that you'd like to know.
Beautiful, beautiful. And they can send you an email from the website as well, I assume.
I believe that my email is on there. But if not, they can connect with me on Twitter. My Twitter handle is Easterday77, or they can send the company an email and somebody will pass it along to me.
Incredible. You have been wonderful sharing your knowledge. Are there any things, in your previous experience, or any story in your previous experience that you would like to share with startups that can maybe inspire them to keep going, or, just to believe in themselves, that you would like to share with them?
I don't know if I can remember a specific story, but I think it's really important for people to remember that going with their gut is usually the right decision.
Right.
Obviously, big decisions deserve a lot of research and careful consideration, but your instinct and your natural intuition should play a large role in the decision-making process, which you're probably not going to read online, but I've been there and I've done that. And if you have a gut feel about something and you don't listen to your gut, but you listen to the numbers or you listen to your advisors, your gut actually is often right.
Right. Right.
And I think it's important for people to just trust themselves.
Right. How did you develop that level of trust in yourself? Because now with being responsible with 50 employees and, thousands of, clients and or customers, how have you fine-tuned that level of belief in or trust in your gut? What sort of things have you done?
It's still hard. I think it gets easier every year that we've done this. And it also gets easier based on the level of the decision. If it's a really important decision that will impact a lot of people, it's harder to trust your gut and not maybe go with what makes the most sense. So a lot of it is practice, and a lot of it is kind of looking at the decisions that you have made and thinking about times where you've trusted your gut over something else.
Right.
Looking at the outcome so that you know that, hey, okay, I've done that 3 or 4 times and actually it's working out really well for me. Just
Right.
stopping to maybe check yourself and reflect back is really important, but it's not an easy thing. It's still hard for me to this day.
Incredible, incredible. And what does your day look like, Angie? As a as a business owner, with such responsibilities.
My days are all over the place, to be honest. So I currently act as the COO, which is in charge of operations.
Yes.
So some days are more like project coordination. Some days are coaching and developing my team. Some days are working on process improvements. Yesterday, actually, I spent most of the day on live chat and email for our customer service team because we had a few people out of the office.
Right.
So it's a balance of getting the X's and O's down, making sure my teams are taken care of, but also working on strategy to move our business, move our brands, and then move my departments forward.
Beautiful, beautiful. Angie, you've been wonderful, and would like to respect your time, so you spend with us. And I'm hoping that our audience at this point have managed to take a lot of notes. I've learned a great deal, as I always do when I get to speak with, experts like yourself. So really, thank you for spending time with us today.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's been fun.
It's incredible. And for our audience here, you can get in touch with Angie, and here's the website again. Let me get to you. Well, actually, Angie, are you okay to give the website to
Sure.
again?
It's oneclickventures.com.
Correct. And you can connect with her there or on her Twitter as well. What is your Twitter handle?
And my Twitter, you can connect with our brand at OneClick. Or you can connect with me directly at Easterday77.
Beautiful, beautiful. Thanks again for being here with us, and our audience, thank you for joining us, and I look forward to being with you again in another episode of Enlightened Entrepreneur. Do get in touch with us if all connections fails, and our team will be able to put you in touch with the right expert that you're looking for. And it's your Kai Kachidoro here again on Enlightened Entrepreneur. Have a great day, everyone.